Ooh, good morning. Good morning. So interesting to show up at 1:30. This is why I schedule my lives, because sometimes I'm going to show up at different times. So good morning. Hey, good morning, Judy. Nice to see you. Yeah, I had to do that. I had to schedule it like this because I have a haircut. I've got such a mop here that I need to get cut. And it was the only time he could fit me in. So, good morning, good morning. Ooh, couple of random things for my life. Let's see. Our microwave broke. That's interesting. That is interesting. Luckily, I wasn't the one. There we go. I know, exactly, Judy. Yeah, half past the hour, mixing it up, as I like to say. And today's YouTube live as well is going to be at 1:30, because why the heck not? It's good to keep things. It's a hobgoblin. It's good to keep things. It's a hobgoblin. What is that? A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. So I don't like a foolish consistency. I like consistency when it makes sense, but also mixing stuff up. So yeah, it's 7:30 in the morning on Monday, August 4th, 2025. And we'll be here together until 8:30 a.m. Yes, keeping you on your toes. Yep, good to be engaged and good to know, honestly, for the folks that are part of the email group, a reminder to show up and use the secret page for what it's there for, Good stuff. Oh, very cool. Kat Roby says, scheduled Beth Blinders. Walk to the little free library with me to donate, then unpack suitcase and start laundry. I love that. I am such a fan of the little free libraries. I just saw one that they said was opened up somewhere. Crap, where was it? And I feel like it was someplace we just were. Oh, the farmer's market, not farmer's market, the farm stand we go to. I just saw on their social media that they opened up one. So cool. So good morning, everybody. Good morning, Cheryl. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting couple of weeks. I will share with you guys as I kind of, start to wake up a bit on this Monday morning. This Monday morning where it is cooler out in the morning. It's beautiful looking. It's gorgeous. But it's a wee bit chillier out than I'd like. There's a harbinger, if you will. A harbinger. A harbinger of autumn, which I don't particularly care for in the beginning of August. But yeah, let's see. We've got 2 weeks together pretty much. Well, a few. There we go. Okay. Big day for me yesterday, Judy says. Notice the words. Big day. Started decluttering the garage. Okay, the garage can be a big space physically, but also the contents within. A very big task. So what are we going to do, Judy? We're going to chunk it down. There we go. Okay, you worked on a small area, but came across sentimental stuff. Now, the interesting thing would be to me, okay, and you are going to find sentimental things. It's kind of like when you are mining, like you're a little miner 49er in your garden, Clementine. Mining for stuff, you may come across an unexpected vein of deep stuff. Sometimes when I do that, I'll be honest with you, if I want to get a lot done in one area, I will set the sentimental stuff aside temporarily, not avoiding it, but noting that there's a certain priority when you're doing surface clutter. That's when you are decluttering your surfaces. That's when you're usually trying to get kind of the maximum space, physical space. When you go drop down 2 layers and you go to sentimental is about the inner peace, kind of the feeling good about it. So it is totally acceptable. Well, first of all, again, Beth, Destination Declutter, decluttering life coach here. There are no real hard and fast rules about decluttering. Do this, don't do that. Do it in this order. There are guidelines. There are things you can offer. The things I find helpful, you may say, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do something else. And you may have great success. I think one of the things is to just build your muscle. Now, build your muscle. Now, I'll admit, I went kayaking yesterday. I did not realize how much I need to build the muscle in my arms because my arms were tired for the length of the kayaking trip we were on. Now, do I do anything for my arms? No, not yet. Well, I do, but not as much as I want to get the result I want, to have muscles that don't ache so much when I do that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to chunk it down. I'm going to not beat myself up about it. And I'm going to start with some small weights. I'm going to start at the very surface, the lightest edge, to just get myself into the movement of it. And as I do that, and I realize it's not so bad, then I start to pick up the more heavy weights, the stuff that's stored, the sentimental stuff. So that's what we got going on with that. Now, as a reminder, for those of you who are part of the email group, and even if you're not, maybe you're just tuning in for the first time, we have a decluttering party this morning. When is it? 10 a.m. 10 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. we have a decluttering party this morning. So if you want some companionship, some structure and flexibility around getting stuff done that you're going to feel good about and having it done before noontime today, sign up, join us in the party. It's going to be fun. I actually kind of texted myself a list this morning of stuff I look forward to getting done in the decluttering party. It is the second to last one, too, if you ever wanted to experiment with a decluttering party. It is the second to last one of this month, because the latter half of this month, I will be MIA, missing in action, because I will be traveling. So there won't be a lot of me live here. I will be alive, and I will come back in September. But a lot of the live stuff that I have booked is going to be between now and, let's say, actually, I think Friday the 15th. So the next 2 weeks. And even within that, there's a gap where we're going to be traveling on the way. Now, I get it. Judy says, I'll be on the road or I would have joined the party. That's, you know what? That's cool. That's cool. The neat thing is that I put something out there to offer it to you. And if it works for you, you sign up. If it doesn't work for you, you don't sign up. So it couldn't work, may not work for you for location, for time. And I know the summer is a different animal. But you know what? It can't hurt to have an opportunity. So I look forward to it this morning, even just to declutter my own head and to see what the next couple of weeks are going to look like. But I ask you, so a couple of things. I will ask you, how can I help you with your clutter this morning? And the clutter isn't necessarily just the clutter in your home. These last couple of weekends, we did some notebook parties, which is kind of the decluttering of your mind. And regardless of what I could help you with specifically, declutter-wise, one of the things I want to just offer to you is always checking in with your physical body and your nervous system. Calming down your nervous system. Making your body feel better. Those two pre-steps to anything you do will increase the likelihood. If you quiet down your brain, if you kind of disrupt the pattern of, being in a spin, let's say, or driving in circles, if you interrupt that, if you put the brakes on and you do something else, that can help you get yourself in a better frame of mind to get some stuff done, take some action, and do things that you know up here and in here, that if you got them done or they got done, not necessarily even by you, that you would feel better about the after versus the before. So take a moment and just scan from the crown on down and make sure your body's doing okay. I always start with this before my nervous system, because my nervous system takes a little bit longer to kind of settle down or to rev up a little bit and get going. I know myself, if I move my arms a certain way, I'm going to be a little achy. Not as achy as I thought I was going to be. So get yourself some water. I've got my pitcher right here next to me. If you can make your body feel better right now, do it. Do it. Nobody's watching you. This is the great thing. You're not on screen, only I am. So stretch your body, move it, roll your neck, shrug your shoulders down. Use all the downs, as I like to say. Now, what are all the downs? It's kind of quieting down your nervous system by slowing down what you do. There's also bilateral symmetry. Bilateral stimulation. It's kind of funny. I forgot about that. That was part of my client. And it's on the one hand, on the other hand, on the one hand, on the other hand. So you could take something and move it back across that line between you. Kind of disrupt the patterned thinking you have. And get your body involved. That's why I say, check out your body. What could you do to make it feel better? Your body and your nervous system. Two wonderful things to check in with at the beginning of the day and throughout the day. How am I feeling mentally and physically? Because if you ignore how you're feeling physically and mentally, you may find it harder to do certain things. So just notice that. The next part of this step is going to be to write something down. Writing down the stuff that you want to get done. I know there's a study out there. I could probably look it up in 2 seconds. But it increases the likelihood that you will do what you want to do if you write it down. Increases by double-digit percentage just by writing it down. And what I like to say is getting that thought, getting those words out of your brain and down onto paper. So maybe you've done that. Maybe you've written down something that you want to do, or that not necessarily you want to do the process, perhaps, decluttering itself being a process, but maybe you want the result. I don't necessarily want to do an arm workout every day, but I want the result of stronger arms. So sometimes our destination takes us on a journey. We have to get there. We're not there yet, but you want to get there. Now, if you've written it down and you're not doing it, one of the things I want to give you a secret is look at what you have written down and see where you can chunk it down. Chunk it down even further. For example, I was talking about, using my arms because I discovered yesterday that they're weaker than I thought they were. And so for me, one of the steps that I take today is moving the hand weights from where they are now to somewhere where I can see them and they're easier to access. So move the hand weights from, or even it's like decide where they're going to be. Decide where I want to put the hand weights. Add a arm exercise thing to my habit tracker. Chunking things down. So I just love to use that word down because it's going to be a little reminder for every single step of this process, And I guess, when you do this stuff, sometimes we might as well throw this one, like getting down to business, just doing the thing. And then writing it down, crossing off what you wrote down, putting a line down through the middle of the sentence that you wrote, and then rewriting it in your good book. So that's a real quick overview of the process that I like to share with you, but just as a refresher, as a reminder. So again, I ask you on this early morning, Monday, in August of 2025, where's your destination? What is your destination decluttered? If I asked you to write it down, how would you say you wanted your house to look? How would you want it to function? How do you want to feel in your home if you wrote those down? Now, I do this. I've done this before, and I will probably do it this week too. Maybe not. I have some decluttering to do. I do because of our whole basement situation. Writing that down to remind yourself of, destination, no more boxes in the corner of this room, chunking it down, not the whole house, but this room, the hallway, the basement. Writing it down can really help. I have written down, my maps for this weekend, my map to get from, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. today, my map to get from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. tomorrow, And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, totally looking different. Total different map because I'm going to be away. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to double check my map to make sure that I've got my start and stop times correct because, what was I just thinking? The fact that if I get my start and stop times wrong, I may miss a plane, I may miss a connection, I may check out late. There we go. And yeah, I love this. Laura Gibbon Voorhees. I love it. Hubs and I are going to reclaim a trail throughout the woods that I created. We are going to chunk it down, aka clear a little bit of it at a time. I love that. I have been able to get so much more of the result that I want when I'm not thinking all or nothing. When I'm thinking a little bit at a time. So I loved clearing a little bit at a time. Yesterday morning, I did some yard work. I did some weeding a little bit at a time. I got to write this down. Let's check. Yard waste. So chunking it down and doing a little bit is always going to be better than not doing anything at all. Okay? Now, Kate, I worked in the garage yesterday and my hands are so stiff. So notice your body. Your hands are feeling stiff. What could you do right now to make those stiff hands feel better? Could you give them a nice massage? Could you love up on them? Thank them for their service? Put some lotion on, maybe what's that, like Asper cream or something that they would advertise during, Lawrence Welk show. Take care of your hands and know that after you do some work, you may feel it in your body. So plan your journey today being gentle on your hands. Okay? Now, I love it. Laura also says, I'm discovering, as hopefully many of us are during this coaching, I'm discovering that all or nothing is one of my ADHD traits that I need to be mindful about. Yeah, because all or nothing tends to lead you to a lot of nothing. Very little all, a wicked lot of nothing. Being mindful about it, noticing it, when you think all or nothing, again, your antidote is already in your toolkit. Chunk it down, So I love that. But let's get into something that I think is really good. So Mama Pepper says, what's a good way to hush the backseat driver? Now, I like to use the words calm it down. Kind of your nervous system and your backseat driver are kind of the same thing. But sometimes it can be helpful to think of your backseat driver as kind of that little kid in the backseat who says the same things over and over again. So picture yourself with somebody who is saying the same things over and over again. So the backseat driver is basically, to me, this is how I label and picture the unhelpful voices in my head, the negative self-talk, the rumination, the always, I'm in a spin where I just keep on going and can't, I'm saying the same unhelpful things over and over again. So the first thing you want to do is even become aware that is those are the phrases, those are the words that are running in the background. So even noticing that, because many times we don't realize that that's something that's in the background that affects how we feel and what we do. So the first thing I would say is with anybody who keeps on going on and on and on about something, disruption, interruption, disrupting, okay, quieting down, shh, putting up what I like to call your little traffic cop hand. Literally, physically, you can be like, whoa, stop it. That will jolt the person who's talking, who thinks they have the platform, into like, wait, what? But I was talking. And not just interrupting them, but interrupting them and replacing what they're saying, providing an antidote to their unhelpfulness. So you can get out of that spin, but if you feel like your thoughts are spinning one way, get your body involved. Move your hand. Imagine the spin. Put your hand in a way. Is it like this? Is it like a cyclone? Is it like this? Is it a wheel? Is it like, a merry-go-round? Move your hand in that way to feel the spin that you're in, and then stop that hand. and then move it in the other direction. Get your, kind of like me starting at 7:30 today as opposed to 7 or 8. Doing something a little bit different to be like, whoa, wait a minute, I can disrupt this cycle of thinking and feeling and doing. So kind of disrupt by getting your body involved, doing one hand or the other. But also one of the things that after you kind of disrupt them, if you don't have something to respond with, when you're disquieting down, okay, you have my attention, I was saying this thing. If you don't have something to say, they're just going to go back to taking the mic back from you. Okay? So what you can do, and this is one of the things that if we got deeper into, and this is more of what we do in coaching, is in your notebook, writing down. We go back to the writing down. Grabbing your notebook, Mama Pepper, folding the paper in half, and we talk about one hand or the other. On the one hand, you've got your fearful, unhelpful phrases in your head. That's good to know. On the other hand, maybe you don't have them yet, but we will use those fearful voices and we will flip them over so that on the other hand, we're going to use what's in those sentences to recreate a more helpful, loving, courageous sentence. In writing this down, again, you can try to do this math in your head. You can try to do this in your head, but man, does it make it so much easier to get it and to process it when you write this stuff down. So folding a piece of paper in half. One column is fear and backseat driver. The other one is love and encouragement. And that is what I call your co-pilot voice. Your co-pilot voice, your co-pilot is always with you. Your soul, God, whatever you want to call it. Your best friend voice. But it's usually pretty quiet. Pretty quiet. Did you hear me? I just sounded like Elmer Fudd. It's usually pretty quiet because the backseat driver is going on and on and on and on, and the beat don't stop till the break of dawn, right? It's like being in a car. You've got a loving parent, a patient person, and the backseat driver usually will not speak up. It will encourage you, you could quiet them down, but the backseat driver is waiting for you to disrupt that, quiet down that backseat, that little quiet kid, disrupt that kind of merry-go-round of thoughts and feelings and words you have. Does that help, Mama Pepper? When you disrupt them, then your backseat driver's like, or your co-pilot's like, oh, okay, now we can do something different up here. And I will just offer this. Doing something different takes the power away from your negative, fearful thoughts. So your backseat driver right now could be discouraging you, taking the courage away from even trying this, from writing it down. Okay? So notice where it may make sense to you up here. Oh, everything she says makes sense in my head. But if I'm not taking that action with my hands, there's something in the heart that's in between that's stopping you from doing that. And your heart, your nervous system, and this is where it may be something shallow. It may be something deep. Sorry. I get distracted by smells too, and I smelled something like somebody's perfume. Maybe I'm being visited by a spirit. Or maybe I hugged somebody. I'm wearing a t-shirt that I didn't wash. So I just offer to you, and this happens to all of us, who do not feel like you are a bad student or whatever. All of us have things that we know up here we should do, and yet physically we're not doing them. I know myself, I could totally call myself out on that stuff. And some of it is no big deal because it's like, yeah, I'll get to it. It makes more sense and it doesn't activate me. But sometimes there's something deeper in there. And that's when even me, I benefit from sitting there and folding the paper in half and writing down the unhelpful thoughts. So I can't do this. This is going to be hard. And breaking that's actually two. Just flipping them over, just not even necessarily buying into it immediately, but noticing the difference of saying, I can't do this. The opposite of I can't, and then you play opposites. And remember I said about that kind of bilateral stimulation, looking from one hand to the next, flipping over the unhelpful into the helpful. I can't, I can. I can't shuts you down. I can opens you up. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be hard. Even just doing the kind of the legitimate kind of rational opposite of that. It's going to take too long. It won't take that long. It's going to hurt. It might not hurt as much as you think it's going to. It won't hurt at all. Well, that's kind of a little bit of an absolute. So do you see where I'm getting here? You know? And maybe, yeah, we bring our bodies into it. You think one thought shuts you down. What's the opposite can lift you up? And that opposite lifting up thought is something you also want to write down in the column there that says co-pilot voice. So people may be tuning in right now saying, what does this have to do with decluttering? And I will tell you, it has a lot to do with decluttering, because your body, your thoughts and feelings are associated with a lot of the stuff in your home. Even if it's not something truly, truly, truly sentimental, the stuff in your home and the amount you have, the quality, the quantity, and where it's located tells you a story about yourself. And if you're cluttered and you're here looking for help, that cluttered story may be one you don't like, but you don't yet know what to do, or you know what to do, but for some reason, you're not doing it. So that's why it's life coaching, because we're coaching your nervous system. We're coaching, you're quieting down your fears and replacing them, giving you something to try on instead. And, oh, that's cool. Cat Ruby found a bunch of marathon backpacks. I'll leave near the library too, because it was in the luggage stuff. Yeah, maybe somebody wants to fill a knapsack with some books that you're donating. Wonderful. It's kind of funny because I've started to post just some clips from my lives on my TikTok page, just so people know that I'm technically still alive, even though I'm not actively generating videos for it. Because again, I have the concern that TikTok's going away. So that's why I have the email. We have the email group. So if TikTok decides to ban me or you can stay in touch. We've got the email group, and we've got the YouTube lives and the YouTube, what do I want to say? The YouTube kind of library. Yeah, 796 videos. Before I leave for my adventures on Wednesday, there will be over 800 videos. Or maybe just 800 videos. Yeah, because I'm not doing anything on Tuesday. Or excuse me, on Wednesday. But notice where you have allowed yourself to believe in the fear. Okay? Oh, yay. I noticed the clips, Beth. They were a good idea. And one of the things I noticed, and if anybody picked notice as your drinking word today, you're going to be there. I am going to Chicago, Illinois, Marietta. Yep, for some celebrations, some stuff like that there. Very much looking forward to it. I noticed that in one of the videos that I did, I was kind of all riled up, but then I paused and I quieted down. And I will say to you, instead of yelling at you as what to do, I will calm down and I'll quiet down. And I say, just notice. Notice how your body is feeling. Do you like that feeling? Yay. Revel in it. If you don't like that feeling, what could I do differently today? And different is a direct threat to the backseat driver voice, because your different is going to be not necessarily listening to the backseat drivers, but listening to your co-pilot, your heart, not the fear, but the love. So notice how you're feeling physically, how you're feeling emotionally. And if you're not feeling like you can get stuff started, or you're not feeling good, What can I write down to make myself feel better? You know, what can I do to make myself feel better? And pretty much, honestly, you guys, all you need to do often is you're telling yourself crappy things to make yourself feel crappy. Write down those crappy things you're saying to yourself. Out those backseat drivers. What are they saying that gets you to feel hurt? Your arms are fat. Your skin is flabby. You look awful in that picture. Yeah, that's what I said to myself yesterday. And I'm still kind of believing it. You know, it hurts. They're words that hurt. But what I was so much better at yesterday when these words came up was quieting them down. Was I perfect? No. But I was better than I was before. Okay? So I just offer to you, every single one of us, this is a lifelong practice. This is why when I do my paid life coaching and people spend money to coach one-on-one with me, because it's an investment in not just the time we spend together, but what you learn with me, you take with you for the rest of your life. It's like an investment that keeps on giving and giving. So it's a true investment in that sense of the word. It's not just, paying money, watching the movie, and then it's over. This will last you for the rest of your life. So I just suggest to you that your backseat drivers are going to fight hard to keep you in fear mode, because that's where they have control over you. This happens in the external world too. Just look at politics. When you are fearful, you are controllable. When you are fearful, you also tend to not do things to change stuff. So people who get you afraid have a position of power, including the little kid in the backseat, backseat drivers, So I love it. Yes, devil dogs, interesting. Thank you, Marietta. German Maid has been doing more meal prepping, less cluttering up during the week in the kitchen, less cleanup rather, during the week in the kitchen. Very cool. That's what I would kind of file under, and here comes my Boston accent, working smarter, not harder, right? Okay. So notice that, Yeah. Now, Susan Peters is asking, do estate sales work to unload? 100%. 100% they do. And what estate sales do is they do a lot of the work for you. Let me be very clear. When you are in the era of decluttering, or you're on a decluttering journey, you're not in it alone. Just because you write down something that is a destination decluttered does not mean you have to do it by yourself. Okay? So estate sales totally work. Now, the great thing about estate sales is that somebody else is doing a lot of the work for you, and you pay them money. So paying money is also a way to get to where you want to go quicker. Now, the one thing that estate sales can also assist you with, but ultimately you need to make the decision about, is what you're going to sell in the estate sale and what you're going to keep. That, my dear, that thing right there, that decision making is decluttering, and decluttering is decision making. Once you make the decision of, I want this, I don't want that, then the estate sale people can do their thing. And depending upon the estate sale, everybody does it a little bit differently. You will get to your destination quicker if your destination is clear out the house. If you want destination make a lot of money, you may be surrounded by clutter for a long time if you decide to sell that stuff yourself. And I know of which I speak, because I have gone through all of this type of thing in many different levels. And I will share with you from a life coaching perspective. Hey, good morning, Erin. From a life coaching perspective and a human perspective, is that how you feel affects what you do. And how you feel is based on what you're thinking. And so you will be surprised at the thoughts that come up, and making sure, Stephanie says, how do I get my stuff into a estate sale? My neighborhood doesn't allow it. Okay, so an estate sale, usually when you say estate sale versus garage sale or yard sale or stoop sale, estate sales are usually run by estate sale companies. And Stephanie, here's a great thing. Where I live, I know my resources. I don't know where you live, so I am not sure of the resources around you. But you know who's going to be is your local, I will age myself when I say yellow pages, but your local internet. So you are not, here's the deal with everything that we're going through, you guys. Somebody else has come before us and struggled with clutter. And that's why estate sale companies were invented. So Stephanie, I would Google, I would research and find out what estate sale area companies are in your area and how they do that. Sometimes people take your stuff off-site and they auction it for you. So depending upon the resources in your area, you have certain ways you can go. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Stephanie, little Google, little AI search. Estate sale companies in Northwest Louisiana. Estate sale companies near me. People make money off of helping us through the struggly bits. I make money helping you through the struggly bits. Yes, we have auction houses. So, this is how you find out these things. And there are resources. There is help available. Now, I offer my one-on-one and, live TikToks and recorded YouTubes and all the videos and all sorts of things and the email group and the declutter parties. I offer my resources that help people across the country. But it often helps when you're going through this process. If you want to get to your destination decluttered more quickly, is to get the helping hands and knowledge of the people that live in your area. Okay? Like if you live near me, I could hook you up with some people immediately. But you don't live near me. However, I'm not saying, I know that there are people out there who will help you in your area. And the thing is about help, you guys, think about it. Help gets you to where you want to be quicker than if you did it all on your own. I think all of us can think of a time where if we didn't get help, if we were trying to teach ourselves how to drive a car by ourselves without anything except, books and videos, that would be taking you longer to get your license than if you paid somebody to teach you the proper way to drive a car. Okay? So there's help out there. Sometimes you need to pay for it, but it can be an investment in getting to your destination sooner. Much like paying for a flight to Chicago gets me there hours before if we drove there. Now, hours, time. This is a big thing. Time is so important because it is the one thing we never get back. We are never going backwards. We are only moving forward. So that's why I implore you, if you want to live a decluttered life, start now and get help. So you aren't on the journey for forever and then you get there when you're 80 years old. You get there when you are 6 months older than you are now. Can you imagine the difference between saying I'm going to stay cluttered for 2 decades versus I'm going to work on it a little bit each time and then I'm going to get there a lot sooner? Help and doing something different will get you there sooner than not getting help and doing what you do already. Okay? Now, Marietta says, I sold a couch on Facebook Marketplace Saturday because before I redesign the space, I want to empty it out first. Okay, I get that. And you know what, Marietta? You did the decluttering because you decided that even when you redesigned that space, you didn't want that couch in it. So that's great. I love that. Decluttering is decision making, and decision making starts in your head and your heart. Ooh, that kind of rhymed. There we go. Stephanie says, I'm totally down to pay somebody to help get rid of some stuff. Okay, get rid of some stuff. Yes, and notice getting rid of some stuff, Stephanie. The one thing you really can't outsource to somebody else is, well, you can, actually. I take that back. You can totally outsource it and have somebody else decide what they take and what they don't. When you don't do that yourself, though, you may have buyer's or seller's remorse, regretting allowing somebody to take something. So before somebody else comes and decides what they think should leave your home, you will feel better if you go through and decide what you're really ready to let go of and what you want to keep. That will give you long-term peace of mind. But you know what? Having somebody come into your house and say, oh yeah, I don't know if you know this, but that thing you're using as a plant stand could actually be worth $5,000. Well, maybe I want $5,000 and I could put my plant on anything. Okay? But yeah, paying somebody for help is the quickest way to get to your destination versus doing it on the cheap by yourself. Every single time I have invested in learning something new and different for my coaching, for my life, that investment has paid back hundredfold. I have gotten so much more of a quality of life over that. I paid somebody recently to help us clean the house because there was stuff that I wasn't doing and I didn't want to do it. And I could help somebody who is starting a new business for herself and become her client. And then you know what that gave me? Was the time that I could do the things only I want to do. And think about that. Think of how good it would feel for you to have more time to do the things that you just want to do. You don't want to spend your time mopping the kitchen floor. You want to spend your time doing something else. You know? Yeah. Well, there we go. And Melissa, I love estate sales. Yeah. I used to love them. And now, depending upon the estate, I might still enjoy them. But man, I do not buy as much as I used to. And I'm totally cool with that. I am totally cool with that. I just don't see anything that I love as much. I really love the quality and quantity of stuff that we have in our home right now. So I am very choosy, picky, particular about what comes in this house. And I am less picky about what leaves. Like, oh, I used that for a while, but I'm good. Yeah, Marietta is sharing a lesson. This is also what we do here on Destination Decluttered. We're going to be around for about another 15 minutes or so because we start at 7:30. Something different, something new. Keep you on your toes. Lesson is that I only got $200 for a $2,000 big leather reclining couch. Yes, you can't make big money reselling, so don't try. There was there's many decluttering people on TikTok, and somebody said, yeah, it's like the one thing, I just want to hone back on you. The one thing you don't get when you try to sell stuff is time. You could empty out your house, and ideally, I will say this, I am team donate versus team dumpster. I will always be team donate versus dumpster. But deciding what you let go of, and then after you've made the decision that you don't want it, what is the easiest way for me to get this out of my life? That's pretty much always going to be donating, putting it on the side of the road for free, putting it in the trash, whatever it is, versus trying to turn it into money. You can sometimes make good money, but you will need to invest time in order to do it. Time to take the pictures, write the description, decide on the price, post all that stuff. Time to be aware and answer people's questions and haggle with them and respond. And then if somebody, offers you money that you're willing to take, then making the time and spending the time, and are they going to show up? All of that costs you one thing you never get back in your life, which is time. So note that. How can you get to your destination couch gone sooner? Sooner will always be free. Later will always be trying to make money. Yeah, Kate says, yes, we live on a busy road. Things are gone in a few hours. Yes, we live on a busy corner. We have a permanent free sign. We write it in big letters and we put it there and we make sure it's not in like ballpoint pen so you can't read it from a distance, right? Okay. So Cheryl is saying, I'm having trouble decluttering my office of 15 years worth of papers and personal stuff. Okay. Not too surprising, Cheryl, you're not alone. You're not alone. One of the four kind of pillars, I don't know if I'm making like the Parthenon or whatever, the Acropolis. I'm talking about pillars. Notice the words you use to describe your situation. Anybody, I can listen. Notice the trouble. I can already pinpoint where Cheryl's trouble is. And my antidote is going to be chunk it down. Cheryl, just in the way you described this, you have indicated that you are looking at your decluttering of your office with too wide of a lens, too big. And the reason I tell you this is because you use that phrase, 15 years worth of papers. If you didn't have that, I'm having trouble decluttering my office. But notice you're looking at it, oh my God, I haven't done this in 15 years, or I've accumulated things in 15 years. And it is so hard, but Kate, I will tell you, Kate, if you tell yourself it's going to be hard, it's going to be hard. How about it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be? You're going to be going through the same process. And I've gone through my parents' paperwork, I've gone through mine, and I've cried, and I have been like, I got this. It feels so much better. I'll wait for it to quiet down. It feels so much better, and it makes things feel so much more doable when you tell yourself something good about the situation versus telling yourself something bad. Oh, it hasn't been like this for 15 years. Oh, it is so difficult. Oh, I have paper issues. Do any of those sentences make you feel inspired to get started to do that stuff? Judging yourself. Yeah, notice even Nurse Liz. So much has not been needed. But yeah, how about this? But at the time you spent it, like I show up in Copilot voice all the time. And I just want to show you to quiet down those backseat drivers. Because if you listen to them and you believe in them, you're going to feel like crap and you're not going to want to do a damn thing. So quieting down and chunking down. I have tons that I do not use. You know? There we go. So stopping yourself by talking, write down all these things. Seriously, every single one of you who has written stuff down in the comments, fold a piece of paper in half, write those down on the left-hand side. But leave space for the opposite. Interrupt what you're doing. Interrupt the negativity and replace it with something more helpful, which is basically going to be on the flip side, on the other hand. You know, I will examine how this goes. Also, even the word only. I'll back up. I backed up a little bit. Marietta says, we only got $200 for a $2,000 couch. We only got $200? How about eliminate only? We got $200 for that couch. Be psyched about the $200 versus maybe only getting $50. You know? I have over 15 years worth of paper and personal stuff in my office, which is making me, looking at it that way, makes me feel like I have trouble decluttering. Okay, you can chunk it down. You can chunk it down, Cheryl. You can chunk it down to just the paperwork from 2025. And then you have another chunk, which would be paperwork from 2024. And then backwards and backwards and backwards, chunk it down for every year. Don't try to deal with it all at once. Or you could chunk it down with, here's a stack of all of my Verizon bills. And do I even need to keep them? Chunk it down is a way to go versus looking at it too big. Chunk it down. Okay. Kate says it's so hard. I had to go through my parents' things and now mine. That's a quantity. My stuff and my parents' stuff, that feels like a lot. That feeling of overwhelm, of quantity, makes it feel like too much. So you chunk it down. I do my paperwork. I do my mother's paperwork. And that's true. I deal with my stuff and my mother's, but I chunk it down, and when it's smaller, it feels easier to deal with. Now, Nurse Liz, saved paperwork, thinking she might use it. We all do this. We all save things we think we might use in the future. What you are going to find out when you declutter is some of those things you thought were going to happen didn't happen. Don't judge yourself about it, but just notice it. When was the last time I ever needed to look back and refer to that proof of delivery for the medical services I received? Have I ever had to go through that? And even if I did need that info, did I go to my paperwork or did I log on to my portal? Yeah, notice even Liz, the quantity, check it out. So much, too big. I have so much. I have tons. Now, I doubt if it literally is a weight unit of tons, but that feeling of overwhelm of too much can shut you down, and then you don't start at all or nothing. So chunk down the overwhelm. Chunk down the overwhelm. Okay? Yep. Okay, so Missy is, and see, Nurse Liz, already you're calming down your nervous system. Because your backseat drivers, there's tons. And then your co-pilot is like, there's not tons. There's like a box or two. And even that box or two, just start with one box. Chunk it down can be your mantra, okay? Now, already notice that you have shifted gears, Nurse Liz. You are no longer talking like the backseat driver of fear and discouragement. You are in a more courageous, helpful, loving voice. You're calming, lovingly turning around and calming down the scared little kid in the back seat. Okay? Now, Missy says, and this is really important. I'll read what she says, and this is what I hear. I cleaned my bathroom cabinets over the weekend. Sparkling clean, but I still have tons of stuff that I just can't get rid of. Ugh. Notice that there is a difference between surface cleanliness and clutter. You can clean a surface to make it sparkle, but you can still feel ugh because you didn't do the decluttering. So Missy, I want to offer to you and everybody here, you've noticed now, you've learned something, that it can be sparkling clean but still not feel good. Decluttering will make you feel better. Decluttering, and the reason I have my hand on my heart is because you've got some feelings about the quantity and quality of stuff you have in your bathroom. You have tons of stuff, so notice the overwhelm looking at the quantity you have is making you feel a feeling. I bet you could weigh all that stuff if you wanted to use weight as a unit of measure and be like, it's not a ton, it technically is about 3.5 pounds of stuff. But knowing how much that stuff weighs doesn't really help you decide if you want it or not. We're not on a boat that we need to like offload things so we don't sink, but it could feel that way. Decluttering equals decision making. But if you tell yourself you have tons of stuff that I just can't get rid of, is that really true? It feels true, but if it feels like you can't get rid of something, there is a story behind that. Now, the story could be very simple, it could be very shallow, it could be very deep. One of the things that often comes up with people who have a lot of stuff in their bathroom, in their cosmetics and lotions and potions and tinctures and all that, is how much money you spent on something that didn't work out for you. That's usually what it is. I'm just riffing here. Missy, if that's what's helped, if that's a thing. Okay? And it's not crazy at all, Missy. It's not crazy. It's just the way that we have been taught to think about stuff. Yes. Nurse Liz says the cost. Okay? Let me be clear. I don't want to say the time you should think about the cost is before you buy it, but it's true. Before you buy something today, ask yourself, will I feel okay letting go of this if it ends up not working the way I think? Will I feel okay with spending $38 on that eye cream if after I use it, it doesn't give me the effect I want. Catch yourself before you invest. Okay? Okay. And so this is coming up with a lot of people. Please know, let's talk about time travel. In the past, and this is talking to your nervous system. This is to calm down and quiet down your nervous system. So let me tell you a story to give you a better understanding of how to feel about the money that you spend on something. In the past, you have purchased items. You've exchanged money for an item and brought that item into your life. One of two things has happened. It either worked for you or it doesn't. Maybe it worked for you in the past and maybe it doesn't now. That happened in the past. That may happen today. You may buy something today, August 4th, 2025, that doesn't work out the way you hoped it would. And if it happened in the past, and it might happen today, it probably is going to happen in the future. Get used to the idea. Get comfortable with the idea that not everything that you spend money on is going to be a good investment, short-term or long-term. Okay? So notice this. Danielle is saying, I have 97 bottles of nail polish. Yeah. And then Liz says, I never do my nails and still have lots of polish. Okay. Danielle and Nurse Liz, this is fun. You know that about yourself. So picture one of those bottles of nail polish and ask yourself, what's the story behind this? What do I tell myself that discourages me from just throwing it in the trash? And whatever comes up as the answer to that question, write it down. Yeah. Now, this is a fun thing, writing that down. But Danielle, you're already in problem-solving mode because you're not stuck. You're asking yourself questions. Okay. Danielle says, I wonder how many aren't even good. I wonder. That'd be interesting. Why don't you go through some of them today and just see what's dried out? Maybe you do something and you put a different color on each hand, trying them out. When you're in wonder, when you're in noticing and wonderment, you have shifted gears and you're no longer stuck because you're curious. Curiosity gets you started. Okay? So Nurse Liz, many are over 10 years old. Yeah, some of these things you get, even if they worked well 10 years ago, they are probably, all crumbly and gross. TikTok is reminding me I'm wrapping up just in a few minutes. Okay? So, yeah. Probably not good. Probably. Why not find out? Nurse Liz, go to your, this is a thing you could do. You could take an action. And again, the all or nothing can overwhelm you. So just go through and pick and choose. Pick 10 bottles of your nail polish today. Unscrew each of them and see if they even still work. If they don't work, it may make it easier to throw it out. And I want to address this because I only have about a minute left here. Okay? But yes, investigating. Be more Nancy Drew than Debbie Downer. Okay? Yes, and lotion totally expires. Who's your mama? Have you ever put on a lotion and it is broken down and it's almost like curdled milk? Where it's like watery, it's curds and whey? Yeah. Lotion will expire. Even if it looks okay, the smell may be off. Okay? Now, what I will offer to you is Third Coaster 68. I will leave this one. Says it's mostly about guilt. Notice the feeling of guilt, putting things into a landfill, so I hang on to things. I hate to be mean, and I'm not going to be mean, but it may come that way, so I'm preparing you to know that there's love behind what I say. You are just postponing the inevitable, and you are causing yourself to live in a semblance of a landfill. Because when you die and that stuff is still in your house, somebody else who does not feel the same way that you do is going to throw that stuff in a dumpster. Even if nobody does, let's say you stay in your house and your house decomposes, that stuff will decompose where your house is. So you can choose to be living with the stuff that really belongs in a landfill, so you're living in a landfill yourself, or you can think something different, feel something different, and do something different. And what I say to you is you deserve to live in a place that doesn't look and feel like a landfill. You deserve to feel good in the home that you live in. Now, I can say that to you and mean it, and I can give you that phrase to practice yourself. So practice it. You may not feel that way right now, but repetition of a more helpful thought might get you to start feeling that way. You know what? You're right. I deserve to live in a place that's not feeling like a landfill. Okay? So, as a recap, quiet down your body, your nervous system, write down the unhelpful thoughts, and then flip them over and make them more helpful. And even if you're kind of phoning it in, practice how it feels. Notice how it feels to say those thoughts versus the unhelpful ones. And whichever one feels better, keep on practicing that. Okay? Now, yeah, nobody wants to live in a landfill. However, I've got to go do some stuff today. So my name is Beth, Destination Decluttering Life Coach at your service. We've got a YouTube live coming up this afternoon. If you want to be tuning in on that, join the email group, destinationdecluttered.com. Sign up for the email list. You're part of the crew. You get a lot of stuff going on. I am doing lives today and tomorrow and then Wednesday until well into next week or over this week. I will be not live, but there are almost 800 videos you can refer to on Destination Decluttered on YouTube, okay? I'm here for you. You're not alone, all right? You got this. You can do this. Quiet down the backseat driver and start speaking more like a BFF co-pilot on this road trip called life, okay? I'll see you all on YouTube. If you want to know when that is, join the list and check the TV guide, all right? Bye.